The email landed in my inbox like a storm warning. Annual Harper Family Lakehouse Reunion. RSVP now. My sister Emily's chirpy subject line might as well have been a neon sign flashing, "You're not really wanted." I'm Lauren Harper, the family's perennial letdown, or so my mother, Diane, loves to imply with her tight-lipped smiles and pointed glances. You're not letting it get under your skin again, are you? Jake, my colleague and closest ally at work, asked, leaning over my cubicle partition. His furrowed brow made me snap the email shut. Nope, I said, flashing a grin that didn't reach my eyes. Just another Tuesday. But it wasn't. The Harper Lake House was a scrapbook of my childhood. Sun-soaked summers, laughter echoing across the water. Before everything changed, before I became the odd one out. I can still pinpoint the summer I turned 13, when the shift became undeniable. Lauren, honey, why don't you tidy the porch? Mom had said, while Emily was invited to join Dad's strategy sessions for his consultancy firm. Ethan, show the neighbors your new drone. Meanwhile, I was left with a stack of novels they dismissed as frivolous. My phone pinged. A text from my lifelong friend Mia, who doubled as my unofficial strategist. Another reunion email? Bet Diane's got an excuse lined up. I typed back. Wanna wager how long before she calls to say there's no room this year? The answer came in under an hour. Diane's name glowed on my phone screen, right on cue. Lauren, sweetheart, she began, her voice syrupy, with feigned warmth. I heard some office gossip about your job, but I didn't think it was this big. About the reunion. Let me guess, Mom, I interrupted, surprised by my own calm. The lake house is packed, right? Emily's kids need the space, or is it Ethan's new fiancé this time? The silence was heavy. Well, she finally said, you know how it is. The grandchildren are at such a critical stage. I glanced at the framed letter on my desk, Vice President of Operations, appointed at 34, the youngest in company history. Yeah, Mom, I said. I know exactly how it is. After hanging up, I strode to Michael's office, my mentor of 8 years. He looked up from his laptop, reading my face like an open book. Family? He asked, nodding toward the chair across his desk. I sank into it, nodding. Why do I still let them get to me? Because you're human, he said simply. But you know what's better than dwelling on it? Success? I offered, managing a faint smile. He leaned forward, eyes gleaming. No, success so undeniable they can't look away. Speaking of which, have you reviewed the Carter merger proposal? I pulled up my tablet, pushing family drama aside. I've been crunching numbers. What if we pivot our approach? For the next hour, you dissected strategy, my confidence reigniting. This, work, was my domain. Where I thrived, where I belonged. That evening, as I drove home, Mia called. You need a game plan, she said without preamble. Not for the reunion, for you. To show them who you've become. You're not that shy kid anymore, Lauren. You're a powerhouse. I stopped at a light, city lights shimmering through my windshield. What's the point? They've made it clear I don't fit. The point, Mia said, is you deserve better. And maybe it's time they see it too. I parked outside my sleek high-rise condo, a far cry from the intern studio I'd started in a decade ago. 10 years of strategic investments and bonuses from high-stakes deals had built my portfolio. Condo, Vale cabin, vintage Mustang. Back then, I'd been driven to prove them wrong. Now I had the career, the respect, the independence, everything but the family's approval. As I gazed at the skyline, a spark of resolve flickered. Maybe Mia was right. Maybe it was time to stop waiting for their invitation and start writing my own story. My phone chirped with another notification. Emily's latest email, brimming with photos from last year's Lake House reunion. Radiant smiles, inside jokes, moments I'd been excluded from. But instead of the familiar pang of rejection, a new fire kindled inside me. Resolve. I opened my laptop and navigated to the real estate site I'd been tracking for months, waiting for the lake house's price to plummet amid the market dip. My parents could barely afford the taxes, let alone repairs. Time for a new legacy, I thought, clicking contact agent. I'd use a holding company to keep it discreet. They'd never check the records. Not for vengeance, but for reclamation. In the boardroom, I stood before the executives, my voice steady. The Carter merger isn't just about consolidating resources, I said, my laser pointer dancing across the projected data. It's about redefining our dominance in the sector. Jake, who'd been in on my lake house plan from the start, sat at the table's far end, flashing a discreet nod. We'd burned midnight oil perfecting this pitch, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Miss Carter, the company's founder, leaned forward, her sharp eyes scanning the figures. "You're confident in these projections, Miss Harper?" "I'd stake my career on them," I replied, unwavering. "More importantly, I'd stake the future of both our firms." Michael cleared his throat from his seat beside her. "Lauren's instincts have never failed us. Her track record is impeccable." 2 hours later, the room emptied with handshakes and signed initial agreements. Michael pulled me aside as the last board member left. "Brilliant work," he said, his smile wide. "But why didn't you mention the Singapore director role? This merger's success all but guarantees it's yours." My stomach twisted. The international position, a career pinnacle, overlapped with the reunion's dates. "Still weighing my options," I said carefully. Back at my desk, Jake leaned against the edge, coffee in hand. "What's the holdup? This is your dream job." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Emily's name glowed on the screen. I sent it to voicemail. "Here's the real issue," Mia announced, striding in with takeout bags. "Family drama, as usual." "I thought we were meeting at the deli," I said, grateful for the distraction. "Changed my mind," she said, tossing me a sandwich. "Wanted to see the post-presentation glow." "So Singapore?" "Word travels fast," I muttered. "It's good news," Jake pressed. "You're not seriously letting them make you hesitate, are you?" My phone buzzed again, a text from Emily. "Mom's asking if you saw the reunion email. Please reply." Mia snatched my phone, grinning. "Oh, no way. They're panicking because word's out about your success. The family grapevine's buzzing." "Give it back," I said, reaching for it. She held it out of reach. "Not until you stop letting them call the shots," she said. "I'm not," I began, but Jake cut in. "Lauren, remember the gala last month? You owned a room full of industry titans. That's who you are, not the overlooked kid they made you feel like." Another buzz. Ethan this time. "Hey sis, been a while. Can we talk?" "Suddenly everyone's chatty," I said dryly. "Because you're unstoppable now," Mia said, smirking. "So Singapore, the timings? Perfect," Jake finished. "Show them what they've been missing while they play happy family at the lake house." Michael appeared in the doorway. "Lauren, Miss Carter wants to discuss rollout plans over dinner tonight." "Text me the details," I said, standing and smoothing my blazer. Mia raised an eyebrow as Michael left. "Look at you, power moves only." "Just dinner," I said, but a smile tugged at my lips. "Dinner with a corporate legend," Jake corrected. "Well, your family probably thinks you're still filing reports in some cubicle." Another notification. Diane this time. "Lauren, please call. Urgent family matters." Nia peeked at the message and scoffed. "Urgent? Like how they're running out of ways to sideline you?" I gathered my presentation notes, my mind already on the Carter dinner. "They can keep their excuses. I've got bigger plans." "You're not kidding," Jake said, grinning. "Made that offer on the lake house yet?" "Tomorrow," I said, checking my reflection in my compact. "The agent says we're the only serious buyers in this market." "Perfect timing," Mia sang. Right before they lock in this year's reunion plans. As I headed for the dinner, I felt lighter than I had in years. My family might have perfected the art of diminishing me, but in my world, I was rewriting the narrative. "Hey," Jake called as I left. "Show them Lauren Unleashed in there." I smiled, thinking of the lake house listing waiting in my inbox. "Oh, I'm showing everyone exactly who I am." The keys glinted under the real estate office's fluorescent lights as the agent slid them across the desk. "Congratulations, Miss Harper. The lake house is yours." My hand trembled as I took them, the metal cool against my skin. These weren't just keys. They were a bridge to my past and a foundation for my future. "I can't believe you pulled it off," Mia whispered, squeezing my arm. The agent smiled professionally. "Paperwork will be finalized by end of day, given the market. This is a brilliant investment." The auction price of $400,000 was a steal. Outside, I gripped the keys tightly, their edges biting into my palm. My phone buzzed. "Michael, tell me you closed the deal," he said without preamble. "Just signed," I replied. "Perfect. The Singapore role is yours if you want it. Board approved this morning. Your Carter dinner performance clinched it." I froze, nearly causing Mia to crash into me. "Already?" "I thought the decision was weeks away." "Your work speaks for itself," he said. Carter specifically requested you lead the merger transition. Mia, overhearing, practically vibrated with excitement. As I hung up, she grabbed my shoulders. This is unreal. You own their sacred lake house, and you're about to run an international division. Please tell me you're going to rub it in. My phone chimed. Emily, family meeting this weekend about the reunion. Mom says you have to come. Oh, this is too good, Mia cackled. They don't even know you own their reunion spot. Neither does the agent, I said. I made sure the purchase went through my holding company. Sneaky, Mia said, linking her arm through mine as we walked to the car. So what's the plan? Before I could answer, Jake called, his voice crackling through the speaker. Michael just filled me in. Both deals. You're taking Singapore, right? I haven't decided, I said, putting him on speaker as we drove. What's to decide? He said. You'll lead the merger from Asia, build your global profile, and let your family stew in their regrets. Speaking of regrets, Mia chimed in. Lauren just got summoned to a family meeting about the reunion. No way, Jake laughed over the phone. Are you actually going? I steered onto the winding road toward the lake house, my lake house. Oh, I'm going. It's time for a visit. The familiar drive felt transformed. Each bend, each glimpse of the lake shimmering through the pines, belonged to me in a way it never had before. I pulled into the gravel driveway of the sprawling craftsman-style home, its cedar shingles and white trim glowing in the afternoon light, just as I remembered. Mia let out a low whistle. I forgot how stunning this place is. No wonder they're so obsessed with their precious reunions. I climbed the porch steps, my new keys jingling in my hand. Unlocking the door, I stepped inside, the air thick with lake breeze and echoes of childhood. Summer barbecues, late-night board games, conversations I'd been edged out of. But now, a new note lingered, the quiet thrill of ownership. My phone rang. Diane's name flashed on the screen. Lauren, are you coming this weekend? Emily said she texted you. I'm actually at the lake house now, Mom, I said, my voice steady. Silence. Then, what? How? The realtor said it was sold? Interesting, I replied, running my fingers along the familiar wood paneling of the living room. Don't worry about it. I'll see you this weekend. I hung up before she could press further. Mia, filming on her phone, barely contained her glee. That was epic. Did you hear her voice crack? Send me that video. Jake said through the speaker. I need it for the archives. I pushed open the glass doors to the deck, the lake's rhythmic lapping filling the air. You know what's ironic? They always said I didn't get the value of family tradition, but I'm the one who saved it by buying it out from under them. Poetic justice, Mia added, smirking. It's not about tearing it down, I said, gazing at the water. It's about owning it on my terms. My phone lit up again. Texts from Emily, Ethan, and Diane in rapid succession. I ignored them. So, Jake's voice crackled. What's the next move, boss? I smiled, picturing the family meeting. We plan a reunion they'll never forget. Want backup this weekend? Mia offered. I'm an excellent hype woman. No, I said, opening my laptop. This one's mine. But first, I've got a Singapore acceptance letter to draft. Standing on my deck, the lake stretching before me, I felt my plan solidify. A timid girl who once lingered in this house's shadows was gone. In her place stood someone they'd have to reckon with. The sound of car doors slamming snapped me from my work. I'd been reviewing merger documents in my new home office, the lake view framing my laptop, when familiar voices floated through the open windows. Mom, I'm telling you, Lauren was cagey on the phone, Emily said. She's always been dramatic, Ethan replied. Remember last Thanksgiving? I closed my laptop, heart racing. They were early. The family meeting wasn't until tomorrow. Through the window. I watched them unload bags from their SUV, acting like they still owned the place. They didn't. My phone buzzed. Jake, game time. They're early. Wish me luck, I texted back. No mercy, he replied instantly. Keys jangled at the front door, followed by confused murmurs. Mom, your key isn't working, Emily called. That's impossible, Diane said. It worked last month. I descended the stairs, my heels clicking deliberately on the hardwood. The voices outside fell silent. Opening the door, I met their stunned faces with a calm smile. Looking for something, Lauren? Diane's hand flew to her chest. What are you doing here? How did you get in? I live here, I said simply, stepping aside. Come in. My house is your house, literally. The silence was exquisite. Emily's jaw dropped. Ethan fumbled his suitcase. What do you mean you live here? Diane finally stammered. I led them to the kitchen, knowing they'd follow. Coffee? Just brewed a pot Guatemalan blend. Your favorite, Mom. Lauren, Emily said, her voice sharp with that big sister tone. What's going on? I poured myself a cup, savoring their bewilderment. I thought the meeting was tomorrow. Did I miss an email? Oh, wait, I said, smiling over my mug. I'm usually left off those. Stop it, Ethan snapped. How are you even here? This is our family lake house. Actually, I said, pulling up the deed on my phone. It's mine. Bought it 2 weeks ago through my holding company. Has been in my name since the auction. You never checked the records, did you? Ongoing renovations, $100,000 for repairs, $150,000 for upgrades, are making it mine in every way. Diane sank into a chair, her face pale. That's impossible. We would have known. Would you? I leaned against the counter. When was the last time you asked about my life? Emily grabbed my phone, scrolling through the documents. This can't be real. How could you afford? The same way I afford my downtown condo, my cabin in Vail, and my vintage Mustang, I said casually. 10 years of strategic investments and bonuses. I work. Remember work? That thing you all said I'd never master? A car door slammed outside. Dad's voice boomed. Why's everyone standing around? Help with the groceries. In here, Dad, I called. Let me take those. He appeared in the doorway, arms full of bags, and froze. Lauren, what's happening? Early family meeting, I said, unpacking the groceries with practiced ease. Next time, you might want to check with me before shopping for my house. Your house? He glanced at Diane, still speechless. Let's sit, I said, gesturing to the dining room. We have some catching up to do. They trailed me like shell-shocked tourists, settling around the table where I'd once been relegated to clearing plates while they shared stories. I took the head chair, Dad's old spot. About the reunion, Emily burst out. You can't just buy our family home. This is our legacy. Funny thing about legacies, I said, inspecting my nails. They only last if someone's willing to save them. When the bank started foreclosure proceedings, where was your legacy then? Diane's head jerked up. How did you know about that? I know everything, I said. The missed payments, the second mortgage, the tax liens. I did my homework before investing. My phone buzzed. Mia, need me there? Operation Checkmate in progress, I texted back, glancing at their stunned faces. Now, about the reunion. I'm thinking we shake things up this year. The reunion's moving to the Ritz-Carlton's penthouse floor. The lake house is mine now, and I'm not ready to share it yet. But I've booked suites for everyone. You're kicking us out? Diane's voice cracked. No, Mom, I said. I'm showing you what exclusion feels like. The difference? I'm doing it with 5-star suites and a lake view. The realization dawning on their faces was sweeter than any boardroom victory. And we were just getting started. I stepped into the renovated kitchen, gesturing broadly. Come see what your family lake house looked like when I bought it. I opened a sleek binder on the counter, spreading out photos. Sagging porch beams, water-stained ceilings, wiring so outdated it was a fire hazard. $100,000 in repairs to make it habitable. Another $150,000 in upgrades. Where was your family pride then? Emily picked up a photo, her face draining of color. We didn't know it was this bad. Because none of you checked, I said. You assumed it would just hold together. Like you assumed I'd never amount to anything. Dad stood abruptly, his voice tight. That's enough, Lauren. We've made mistakes, but you're still our daughter. Am I? I turned to face him, my gaze steady. Because for 20 years, I've been your afterthought. My phone lit up with a news alert. The Singapore announcement had broken early. Diane's phone pinged seconds later, her eyes widening as she read. Global Director of Operations, she murmured. Lauren, you're moving to Singapore? Among other things. I poured myself more coffee, smiling. The Carter merger I just closed is worth more than this house and everything in it. Ethan grabbed Diane's phone, reading aloud. Youngest executive in company history. Groundbreaking merger strategy projected to quadruple market share. That's impossible. Just Lauren, I said softly, echoing his earlier dismissal. Funny how that works, isn't it? The daughter you never believed in now owns your cherished lake house and runs an international division. Dad sank back into his chair. Why didn't you tell us? I did, I said. Every time I mentioned a promotion or a deal, you pivoted to Emily's kids or Ethan's startup pitches. You brushed off the LinkedIn posts, the Forbes feature, because they didn't fit your narrative of me. Diane was still staring at her phone. These figures, Lauren, this is more money than I can fathom. And it's just the start, I said. So what now? Emily asked quietly. The reunion? The lake house? I walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows, the lake glittering under the sun I now owned. Now, we do things my way. The reunion's happening at the Ritz-Carlton, but under my management. Meaning? Ethan challenged. Meaning I've reserved the penthouse floor at the Ritz for everyone. I said, turning back to them. The lake house needs some private time with its new owner. You're kicking us out? Diane's voice cracked. No, Mom, I said. I'm showing you what exclusion feels like. The difference? I'm doing it with 5-star suites and a lake view. Dad stood again, slower this time. We deserve that, all of it. But Lauren, is this really what you want? What I want? I looked at each of them in turn. I want the 20 years of ignored achievements and skipped celebrations back. I want to know why I was never enough. Since I can't have that, I slid a stack of hotel reservations across the table. I'll settle for you realizing what you've missed. Emily picked up a reservation, gasping at the sweet details. This must have cost a fortune. Less than an hour of my new salary, I said, cutting her off. Consider it a farewell gift before Singapore. How long? Diane asked. Her voice small. How long will you be gone? I smiled, thinking of all the family moments I'd been excluded from. Long enough for you to feel what absence is like. Now, shall we discuss the new reunion rules? The silence was thick with 2 decades of their regret, not mine. The Ritz-Carlton lobby hummed with activity as my family checked into their suites. I stood back, watching Emily's kids dart around the polished marble pillars, while Ethan tried and failed to charm the concierge with small talk. Your car is ready, Miss Harper, the valet said, with a respectful nod. Diane's head snapped up at his tone, her eyes widening as she spotted my sleek Aston Martin waiting outside. Lauren, she called, hurrying over. We need to talk, really talk. I have a meeting, I said, glancing at my watch. The merger doesn't pause for family drama. Please, she said, touching my arm, the first contact we'd had in years. Just coffee, 10 minutes. I studied her face, noting the lines etched deeper than I remembered. Fine, rooftop lounge, 10 minutes. Upstairs, Diane toyed with her coffee cup while I answered urgent Singapore emails. Finally, she spoke. I didn't realize how accomplished you were. Clearly, I said, not looking up. She sighed. We should have paid attention. I see that now. But Lauren, this lake house thing, it feels like you're punishing us. I set my phone down, meeting her eyes. Punishing? No, Mom, I'm rewriting the story. You made me feel like I didn't belong in that house, in this family. Now I own it, literally and figuratively, and I'm not here to beg for your approval anymore. Her hands trembled. What can we do to make this right? I leaned back, considering. Start by listening. Not just to me, to the truth. I'm not just Lauren anymore. I haven't been for years. My phone buzzed. Michael, Carter wants you in Singapore next week to kick off the transition. Flight booked? Booked, I texted back. Diane watched me, her expression a mix of awe and regret. You're really going, aren't you? Yes, I said, standing. And when I do, I'll be building something bigger than any family legacy you ever imagined. As I walked out, the weight of the lake house keys in my pocket felt like freedom. The reunion would happen, but on my terms. And for the first time, I wasn't just invited, I was in charge. The reunion dinner in the Ritz-Carlton's grand ballroom was exactly as I'd designed it. Crystal chandeliers gleamed above, a string quartet wove soft melodies through the air, and my family sat at the head table, visibly uneasy in their hastily arranged formal wear. I'd forgotten to mention the black tie dress code. Is all this necessary? Ethan muttered, tugging at his borrowed tie. You mean the Michelin-starred menu, the vintage wine selection, the private terrace with lake views? I sipped my champagne. Consider it compensation for all the reunions I wasn't invited to. Emily's husband whistled as servers delivered the first course. This is real Osatra caviar, isn't it? Only the best for family, I said, my smile sharp. Though I'm sure it's a step up from the deli trays you usually roll out. Diane hadn't touched her plate. Lauren, can we talk? Privately? I led her to the terrace, where the lake breeze carried the scent of freedom, Behind us, Emily's kids squealed over the dessert fountain's chocolate cascades. "This feels cruel," Diane said quietly. "Cruel?" I turned to face her. "Treating my family to luxury is cruel?" "You know what I mean," she said, "flaunting your success like this. Like you flaunted Emily's law school acceptance? Ethan's engagement party?" I leaned against the railing. "The ones I wasn't invited to?" "We were wrong," she whispered. "Is that what you want to hear?" "What I want," I said evenly, "is for you to understand what you missed. Every deal I closed, every award I won, every milestone you ignored, it built this. A woman who can reserve an entire hotel floor without a second thought." The terrace door opened. Michael approached. "Lauren," he said, then nodded to Diane. "Mrs. Harper, I'm Michael Langston, Lauren's mentor for the past 8 years." Diane's eyes widened. "You're her boss? From the news?" "Actually," Michael said, smiling. "As of next month, Lauren will outrank me in the corporate structure, possibly sooner, given her trajectory." Diane processed this, the weight of my success sinking in. "The Singapore role," she said slowly. "It's that big?" I laughed. "Mom, I'll be overseeing operations across Asia. My signing bonus could cover the lake house's auction price, a steal at $400,000. Michael glanced at his watch. "Speaking of, the Singapore team's waiting for our call. Ready?" "Of course," I said, turning to Diane. "Enjoy dinner. The dessert has edible gold leaf. Try not to calculate the cost." As we walked away, Michael murmured, "Savage. I respect it." Back in the ballroom, Jake arrived, invited as my guest to witness the family's reaction to the Financial Times feature he'd tipped off. "Hot off the press," he announced, passing copies to my stunned family. "A memento of your daughter's rise." Dad lifted a copy, hands unsteady. "Redefining global markets," he read. "Visionary leadership in international expansion." "Don't strain yourself, Dad," I said, sipping my drink. I called out, "The numbers might overwhelm a small-town accountant." Emily was reading aloud to her husband, her voice faltering. "Youngest executive to spearhead Asia-Pacific operations, projected to boost market share by 350% in 5 years. Ethan stood abruptly. "Lauren, can I talk to you? About a business idea?" "Sorry, little brother," I said, glancing at my phone. "My portfolio's handled by a wealth manager, but I hear my company's hiring for entry-level roles." The string quartet swelled as servers delivered the main course, Wagyu steak drizzled with truffle reduction. I watched my family struggle to maintain composure amid the extravagance they never imagined their overlooked daughter could orchestrate. "Your car's ready for the Singapore call, Miss Harper," the concierge said, appearing at my side. "Thank you, Daniel." I slipped him a $100 bill. "Ensure my family has everything they need." "Of course, Miss Harper." As I gathered my things, Diane caught my arm. "When will you be back? From Singapore?" I surveyed the ballroom, the opulence, my stunned family, the life I'd built without them. "I'm not sure, Mom, but don't worry. I'll send photos, just like you all did with those reunion emails I never got." As I walked out, Jake's voice rang across the room. "Wait till you hear about her Marina Bay penthouse." My heels clicked on the marble floor. Each step pulling me further from the family that doubted me, and closer to the empire I'd forged from their dismissal. Let them savor the Wagyu, I thought, and choke on every gilded bite. The morning sun bathed the lake house in golden hues as I packed for Singapore. Mia lounged on my bed, sifting through old photos from the attic. "Check this out," she said, holding up a faded snapshot. "Your 11th birthday." You're staring at the camera while everyone fawns over Emily's new kitten. A knock at the door interrupted my reply. Diane stood there, clutching a small wooden box. "Can I come in?" I nodded, folding a cashmere sweater. She sat on the bed's edge, turning the box in her hands. "I found this in our attic," she said. "It's everything I kept about you. Things I was too stubborn to admit I saved." She opened it, revealing newspaper clippings, honor roll certificates, even the program from my MBA graduation they'd skipped. "You kept these?" My hands paused on a silk scarf. "Every one," she whispered. I told myself I was being practical, not feeding unrealistic dreams. But really, I was afraid. Afraid of what? That you'd outshine us all, that you'd escape the small-town life I settled for. She pulled out a business journal from last year, my name in a Forbes 30 under 40 feature. "And you did," Mia stood. "I'll give you two a moment." No, I said, catching her arm. Stay. You've been more family than most of them. My phone buzzed. Emily, at the lake. Can we talk? Send them up, I texted back. Minutes later, Emily appeared, followed by Ethan and Dad, their faces uncertain. Ethan clutched a folder. What's that? I nodded toward it. Investment proposals, he admitted. Not for me, for the lake house. We've all pitched in, if you'll allow it. I raised an eyebrow. I don't need your money. We know, Dad said, stepping forward. But we need to invest in something we should have years ago, our family. Pretty words, I said, but actions speak louder. Then let us show you, Emily said, pulling out her phone. I've deferred my law firm partnership for a sabbatical. I want to visit you in Singapore, really get to know my sister. And I've signed up for business classes, Ethan added. Online courses. Maybe you could mentor me? Do it right this time. Diane opened her box again, revealing a worn key. We don't expect forgiveness, she said, but maybe we can build something new. I took the key, its weight familiar. What's this? The front door, she said, her smile fragile. I kept it, thinking it meant something. But you showed us what matters, isn't houses or reunions. It's the people we become. Mia squeezed my hand. I looked at the key, its weight pulling me between anger and something softer. Hope, maybe, or just curiosity. They hadn't earned my trust, but I could choose to give them a chance, on my terms. I turned to the window, the lake sparkling under the sun. The reunion, I said finally, will alternate between here and Singapore. You'll all need passports. The tension broke. Emily laughed, wiping her eyes. Ethan dropped his folder. Dad sank onto a chair. Really? Diane's voice trembled. Really, I said, turning to face them. Not because you've earned it, because I choose it. There's a difference. Mia grinned. Does this mean I get to plan the Singapore reunion? I've got ideas. You're all learning some basic Mandarin phrases, I said. It'll help you navigate Singapore's business scene, plus global business protocol and international market strategies. Whatever it takes, Ethan said, and for once, I believed him. My phone buzzed. Michael, car's here for the airport. That's me, I said, grabbing my carry-on. Lauren, Diane said, standing. Thank you. Not for forgiveness we haven't earned, but for the chance we don't deserve. I looked at them. My flawed, belatedly trying family, don't waste it. As I walked to the waiting car, I heard their footsteps behind me, saw their reflections in the car's glossy paint. Not chasing me, but following. Different, but possible. Singapore won't know what hit it, Mia said, hugging me goodbye. I smiled, picturing my new office's view, my family learning my language, the future unfolding like the horizon ahead. Neither will they. The lake house stood proud behind us, no longer a monument to exclusion, but a bridge between past and possibility. Not perfect, but enough.